Hello and welcome to One Question, Two Entrepreneurs, and Three Opinions with Luke Kayyem and Matt Sherman. Matt, welcome. This was your concept, your idea. I'm just here to facilitate and learn as much as I possibly can from you. My name is Luke Kayyem. I run a company called SickFit. SickFit is a global fitness and lifestyle brand that encompasses from push-up to podium. We teach people how to live a higher quality of life through fitness, nutrition, and of course, lifestyle practices. I'm a father of two. I'm a married man. So having a fit family is extremely important to me. We have 5 gyms across the Southwest, from Old Town, Scottsdale to El Paso, Texas, down to San Diego, California, and opening up soon in Austin, Texas, Round Rock, Texas. I've never worked for anybody since I was 16 years old. My first job was delivering pizzas for a place called Rizzo's, and the first night I forgot to collect money, so I quit the next day. I then became a lifeguard for about 2 weeks, and I was sick of seeing my girlfriend get hit on by all the older lifeguards, so I quit that job. And at 19 years old, I started in a fitness facility called the Palm Desert Athletic Club in Palm Desert, California, where I worked the front desk. Fast forward 17 years later, I've been in the fitness industry since I was 19 years old. I've started at the very possible bottom, driving a mobile rock climbing wall to bar mitzvahs, birthday parties, and weddings, all the way up to running several facilities. I am an entrepreneur because I still do everything. And let me make that clear. In my mind, what a true entrepreneur is somebody who doesn't just rise to the top and point and shoot down to the bottom. But I've been up since about 6:30 this morning, of course, feeding my 2 kids, giving my son batting practice, spending some one-on-one time with my daughter, walking my kids to school, getting into the office for my Monday 9 a.m. meeting with my staff and team, taking out the trash, hanging a new paper towel dispenser, sitting down, replying to 2 emails, and then getting ready and prepared for this blab. So that's why I believe I am an entrepreneur. Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Matt Sherman. I'm a student at Arizona State University. I'm a senior, and the fact that I'm a senior is a little scary because once I graduate, I'm either going to go full time with my business, which is Fusion Apps, which is a mobile application development company, or get a 9-to-5 job, which means I'm going full time with the business. So what the business is we develop mobile apps to really connect humanity again, because I feel like technology is driving us apart, especially with virtual reality and apps that are being developed right now. And we believe in the concept of humans interacting with humans, not humans interacting with lines of code. So that's kind of what we're doing. I think where I am in my life, I'm a student, so it's very like mumble jumbled, and I think in that whole kind of storm, my biggest priority above school is Fusion Apps, and I think the fact that I'm dead set on getting funded by May, which is when I graduate, is a true testament to show why I'm an entrepreneur. Because I would put Fusion above school, because right now school's not going to help me with Fusion. Fusion's going to help me with Fusion. So I'm very, very motivated and very obsessed with making this a reality, and that's why I believe I'm an entrepreneur. And the way that do you want to explain how this is going to work, or do you want me to?
No. You got to explain it, because I got to learn from you. So you explain how this is going to work.
Yeah, totally. So I was over at Luke's gym in Scottsdale, SickFit, last Tuesday, I believe, and we came up with this idea of having a blab where someone asks a question. So you either come in and ask a question or ask a question in the comments, and then one of us answers. The person who isn't answering mutes the other person. So I won't be able to hear what Luke is saying. Luke won't be able to hear what I'm saying, and we just answer the question. Then when Luke's done answering, then I answer, then he mutes me. And then after, so we have no idea what the other person's answer is. And then once we both finish answering, we unmute each other, and we talk about it, and we see if our answers were similar. And then you're free to give your opinion for a little bit too. That's the three opinions. So 1 question, 2 entrepreneurs, 3 opinions. Luke, Matt, and you.
Awesome. So I will unlock this seat in case anybody wants to come in. I know Elon, my buddy, who is definitely an entrepreneur, might have a question or 2 to get in. Do we have a first question prepared yet, Matt?
No, I have a few. There's questions that I get often that I've been asked just over the years. So we can see if someone else has a question. If not, then I can ask that question, and we can just start with that.
let's start with that.
All right, cool. When you were younger, how do you explain to your friends and family what you're trying to do, and that it's not the traditional route? So how do you explain to them that you want to be an entrepreneur and your route isn't the 9-to-5 job? So that's my question.
Okay, so I started at a junior college down in San Diego Mesa. I spent a semester up in Sacramento for a semester, both dropping out after the sports season was over. And by the time I had turned 19, which was a year after I graduated from high school, I did not want to work for anybody, but I also did not want to continue going to school. So I had to try and sell to my mom that I was going to park cars, which is one other job I had. But the cool part about my entrepreneurship is I was always trying to get that person's gig. So I got hired for a small company who had valet parking lots. And we're talking Indian Wells, California, where the average price house is about $650,000, $700,000. And within a few weeks, the owner of the restaurant was not excited that the valet company was bringing new blood into the valet parking lot each and every day. They wanted somebody who was stationary and who would come back day in and day out. So I was able to kind of work my way into the restaurant, talk to the owner and say, look, why don't you fire that valet company that you have and hire me personally to run your lot? That way you don't have to pay them. You don't have to worry about somebody coming in that's different each and every day. I've built a rapport with your customers, and I've built a rapport with you. He was into it. He fired the other company. That guy was pissed off at me. I didn't care because now I was making $3,000 to $4,000 a month cash from exercising. And I was one of those guys who, when I first started parking cars, for me, it was about the fitness. I was able to run as fast as I could to another car and pull that car up so I would get a high amount of volume. So I'm making this money, I'm exercising, and I got to go tell my mom, I'm of course living at home at 19, how I'm not going to get a real job and how I'm not going to go back to school. And that was definitely a tough sell. It didn't happen overnight. It wasn't until I was making, a couple $1,000s in cash 4, 5, 6 months in a row. And I got into fitness. So everything I did, I always had a plan B slightly ahead of the curve so that I didn't have to rely on just what was there. Just like right now where I am, I'm currently running a fitness club that I own here in Scottsdale. I'm currently coaching classes. I'm currently coaching clients. But that plan B is a few steps and a few feet ahead of me so I can figure out where I'm going next. So then I guess I'll ask you a question now, Matt. When did you know and who inspired you to become an entrepreneur versus just graduating college and going out and finding a job?
Okay, I'm assuming because it seemed like you were like in the question form. Before you ask a question, just like because you were just muted, just do like this so I can like unmute you and then I'll be able to
Sure.
Answer it.
I didn't follow that protocol because you asked me the question, so it's all good. Yeah,
true.
Don't sweat it.
Okay.
See, the YouTubers will not get this because they won't see the side panel, but there is some engagement on the side, which is totally cool. So let me just ask you a question. And instead of going that mute route until somebody else jumps in, we'll just go right into it. What made you at what age and who? Was it your father? Was it Bill Gates? Who inspired you to decide that you weren't just going to graduate from school and go get a job? Who has inspired you to be an entrepreneur?
It was inspired me to be an entrepreneur. I would say probably Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't think I have anyone close to me that's really inspired me to be an entrepreneur. I mean, my dad was an entrepreneur. He did have his own business, but I don't think he's like, at least in my perception, is that he's not so gung ho about me doing that because he does. I don't know if he thinks I can do it or not, but I think just that who's inspired me to be an entrepreneur the most is really like the people that I read books from, like Simon Sinek and Gary Vaynerchuk, especially Gary Vaynerchuk. At the age, I wouldn't I wouldn't say, I mean, so in high school, I tried to launch a music career, and that's when I had literally zero like influencers. I was just like doing it because I loved it. And I didn't realize that I was entrepreneurial at the time, but like I wasn't planning on working for anyone. I was planning on being a rock star. And that's like the first step in the entrepreneur lifestyle that I kind of stepped into. And then come college, I tried a bunch of different ventures, and View Fusion Apps is the one that's kind of stuck. It's the only idea that I haven't changed in a month. It's been like 6 months and I haven't changed my idea, which is like really rare for me. So I know I have something special, you know.
What's your major?
Communication. Yeah. So yeah. So that's that. So yeah, I would say now it's just like the influencers. As I said, Gary Vaynerchuk and probably Simon Sinek. For you, when you tell people that you run your own business, you run like multiple chains of a business, like what's the initial reaction? Do you ever kind of get, are they excited? Do they judge you a little bit? Oh, an entrepreneur. Like what is like when you tell people, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur and I run a gym, what's the initial reactions when you say that?
You know, I used to be, my title when I first started in the fitness business was trainer. And it got me to a point in my career where I realized that I was more than just a trainer, because trainer is like, you know, bartender or bar back. Well, I realized that, you know, I was a coach, and the things that I was teaching was more than just sets and reps. So for me, I really had to, you know, be humble and confident in myself so that I didn't feel uncomfortable having that discussion with people. Where there were times when I was 22, 23 years old and all my buddies were graduating from college. My wife, who was my high school sweetheart, was graduating from college, and she was going to work for a Fortune 500 company, and I was still parking cars and personal training. So, you know, I had to really just define myself as more than what I was at the time. And I always had to look into the future as what I wanted to be. And I don't necessarily use that term entrepreneur as an opening line for what I do. I talk more about, you know, being a lifestyle coach. And then from there, that discussion sort of turns in many different directions as we start to discuss the different things that I do. Because in this 8-year period that I've been in the Sick Fit brand, and my wife and I have been running this company, we have done so many different things. And, you know, if you go to my Instagram page, it says husband, father, athlete, coach, writer, producer, developer, director, bathroom cleaner. You know, I do all of it. I do all of those things, and I still do those things today, which is really why I think I'm still so hungry. You know, that's another thing. You see guys get really big, and within a matter of weeks, months, if not years, they're sold out. They're losing all their money. You know, maybe they invested badly and they can't find a way out or into that next thing. For me, I get kicked in the mouth all the time. And I feel that why I can keep coming back is because I'm not done yet. There's so many more things I want to do with my life. There's, you know, one of my favorite things to do, and I got an opportunity to do it this weekend, is write. And you can use the word write or blog, but really you write first, then you blog. And it's something I've always had a passion for. As a high school guy, I used to write my wife poetry and love letters that we still have today. But I'm able to write whenever I get free time. And usually that free time comes from being on an airplane. So I just happened to be traveling these couple weeks. I spent the weekend in Ohio. Next week I'm in Montana. And then the week after that I'm in Maui. So I've got about 20 hours of air flight time that I can just get super creative and start to write. And I think it really does start there. You know, you can make the videos. You can make the music, you can make the visual photos, but when you write, it still hits close to home. You talked about, you know, how as people, we are starting to get further and further apart as technology grows and grows and grows. Well, we may not be handwriting things like we used to, but we're still reading them the same way. And until everything becomes audio or video, I don't think that will change. So I'm going to continue to write and write and write. And what I did really is I wrote an email to all of the gym owners, because they're all entrepreneurs. All of these guys, they work for themselves. They own the brand. All we do is kind of give them a basic spreadsheet. We give them a direction. We give them a logo. We tell them and teach them what worked for us. But at the end of the day, they have to be entrepreneurs themselves. And that can be a challenge sometimes. So I really just try to fire these guys up, telling them I started, because all of them are having small business woes. They're having entrepreneurial battles. Sales aren't up. I'm losing my culture. I lost another coach. All these things that have happened to us. And I take it back to the very basic principles of when I was 19 years old, I used to answer phones at the front desk of a Globo gym making $6.50 an hour. In 2007, when we moved here with my wife and my 10-month-old son, I worked at the Gold's Gym down the road, and I got paid $12 an hour. And now, fast forward 7 years later, I've been able to open up 4 other gyms, including my own, and be even more successful than I ever imagined. But we're not even close to where we want to be yet, right? Which is why you're putting in this time right now, Matt, to share your story and really develop your own personal skills that took me 37 years to get. You got them right now at what, 20, 21 years old?
21, yeah.
21, man. So let's hear more about you and less about me. Let's pretend I handed you $1 million today for your startup. What would you do with it? Where would it go? And how much would you pay yourself?
Yeah, so I would calculate. So let's I'm gonna pretend this question is 9 months from now. So when I pay more of my bills, because I'm still in college, so I'm getting a little supported from my family. So if I'm fully self-supported, I would calculate the amount that I would need to survive, then add probably $2,000 or $3,000 onto that for just like traveling or whatnot for conferences, and that's what I would get paid. Because I'm still, even if I get paid $1 million, like that might be the only funding that we ever get. So I'm gonna get paid the minimum amount that I have to. With the rest, with some of the money, I will find developers and actually pay developers what they deserve. Because right now we don't have developers because we don't have the money to pay what they deserve. So now we're just designing a prototype with Janelle, who which is great. But I would love to have a team of developers and pay them what they deserve to actually make our app and get it in the app stores as soon as possible. I'm not sure so much on how affiliate marketing work. I think it's influencer marketing, but I would talk to influencers in the running, athletic, and fitness fields and get their opinions on it. And I'm not sure how it works, but maybe spend some money on having them like talk about it a little bit, just because it's the idea. There's no shortage of innovation in the idea. Runners are going to like the idea. I've already found that out. It's just getting it out to the right people. Which is runners. And I myself am a runner, but I'm not like embedded in the culture of running. So I guess, and the rest of the money I would save. I mean, like you don't know, like I know you asked like, what would you spend on, but like, I don't know if that's going to be the only time I'm able to get funded from an angel. So I would,
who would be your number one hire? And for those of you just coming in the show, David, we just asked Matt if he was given $1 million for his startup, what would he do with it? So we're at the point now where who would be your first hire?
A extremely skilled iOS developer. Are you asking like what position or like who?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
iOS developer. And then definitely iOS developer, because I mean, like a prototype is great, MVP is great, but like we eventually need an app, and like we're making a prototype to get funded to get the app. So absolutely an iOS developer. If we're handling that amount of money and we plan on getting more money, and we prepare for that, probably next would be a CFO, someone who knows money. I don't know $1 million. I know $1,000 in my bank account, if that. So I can't do $1 million. So someone who knows how to like work with that, and then it would like, I mean, even like I'm a firm believer now. I'm like, this is saying now when like we're not like funded yet, but I'm a firm believer in only spending what we have to, because you never know the next time you're going to get funded. So I mean, we would only hire positions that we really, really need. And like I'm like, I got the marketing side pretty much down for now until we have more to market. Janelle is the development side. Honestly, I mean the design side. If we have a developer, like I would have no problem just having a team of 4, even with that much money, just like grinding away at it, and with the rest of the money, just saving it for whatever we need to spend it on, legal stuff. If we get sued, if we like having like a safety bank, probably I wouldn't even say anything on PR. If anything, we were to do a little with social media and promote our posts to get our following a little bit on there. But I'm not a big fan of PR because it's just like outbound. I'm not a fan of outbound.
Sure, which is why you're on Blab as the #1 blabber in all of ASU. And last time I heard, there's 90,000 students at ASU. So you are the 0.0001%, my man.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of So that's how I would spend or use the $1 million. Use the $1 million. So for you, what would you do if? This is interesting. So you've come up with you've had challenges that you've overcome in your journey. What would you do if Arizona had a hurricane and wiped out your gym? What would be the steps that you would take from that point?
You know what? As long as nobody got hurt, I would be okay with it, because to me, somebody who has been in the service industry his whole life, and really that's what this business is all about, is serving people. I have somewhere around a 90% retention on my private training clients. That means for the past 7 years, I have residual income in the service business. So imagine you go out to Massage Envy and you get a massage and you fall in love with that massage therapist, not literally, but figuratively. You really enjoy seeing that PT, that massage therapist 2 to 3 times a week. So much so that you see them 2 to 3 times a week for the next 7 to 8 years, right? And you talk about what that costs. Well, that wouldn't be possible if I was a shitty coach. That wouldn't be possible if I didn't care about my people. That wouldn't be possible if I wasn't reliable. When I do these new coaching seminars with some of our interns and guys who want to be coaches, I say you only need to know 1% more than Matt Sherman. What you need to be is more reliable than any other trainer and coach on the entire planet. And if you're able to do that and deliver time after time and time after time again, it doesn't really matter how good of a coach you are, right? We want you to be a great coach. Eventually, in time, you will become one. But if all you know is reliability and trust, then you're going to be very successful in this business. So hurricane comes through, right? Hurricane Sherman comes through and wipes out 6-Fit Scottsdale. First of all, for those who want that brick and mortar, we're taking it to the park. We're not going to lose business because I don't have a mailing address. We're going to do what I used to do before I had an actual facility, was we'd go down to Hermosa Beach. We'd go down to the Palm Desert Civic Center. We'd go to Kaanapali Beach, wherever I had open space. My first training studio was 175 square feet, and it was inside of a chiropractor's office. So take a look around your apartment or your dorm room right now. You're probably pushing, what, 350?
Yeah, I don't even, probably.
Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cut that in half.
Oh my gosh.
That's my first training studio. So we don't need a lot of equipment. We don't need any fancy machines. We don't need treadmills. I'm going to make it happen absolutely anywhere that I go with the people that I have. Now, let's pretend that I get out of the brick and mortar. And that is something that I've been working on, tirelessly. Maybe not necessarily the gyms itself, because I believe you need to have the place. What we are more than anything is we're a community, and we're a place where people go. But I would do my best to build and continue my business from behind my computer, behind my Mac. I used to tease my mom, and she would always say, "Why don't you learn computers?" Right? And we're talking, my high school years are 94 to 97. So, I would use the word nerd, and she would say, "Those nerds are going to be your boss one day." Well, fast forward now, my son, who's 9, uses the word nerd, and I say, "Dude, you better become a nerd. You better be a nerd jock," because tech, what it does is it allows global networking, something that was not possible in generations before, right? You and I are close. We're 25 minutes away. But what happens when somebody hops on this line that's from China, from Russia, from Germany, from Australia, right? And we're able to now promote our business and our brand. Oh, somebody's from Melbourne, Sick Fit Australia. Let's open one of those up next year, right? That possibility wasn't there before. So I'm a big fan of going the technology route while still being able to do important things like have face-to-face meetings and phone calls and, of course, have that place or that community where people get together. For a lot of these people, this is their church, right? It's not work, it's not home, it's their third place. right? It's their synagogue. It's their Buddhist temple. They can come here. They can not worry about anything that's happening in their life, and they can know that they're going to walk out of here feeling and looking better than when they came. Okay,
Awesome.
your turn, Matt.
All right.
All right. 30 seconds.
Oh my gosh, I'll get this one ready.
30 seconds, and I am a potential investor. I don't care about your product. I don't care about your widget. Something about Matt Sherman is what got me to have this meeting with you in the first place. A friend of a friend of a friend said, you got to meet this kid. He's got this gizmo, this gadget. He's got this iOS app. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff, because if I'm going to invest in your company, what am I doing? I'm investing in you. Yeah. So, Matt Sherman, 30 seconds. You're on the hot seat. Sell me Matt Sherman.
Well, my name's Matt, and I failed a lot. I fail all the time, but I'm failing less as I get older. And from those failures, I've learned how to succeed in incredible ways. I mean, I'm on the clock. I'm still a student, but I'm not getting a 9-to-5 job. So my only motivation is Fusion. I'm not even thinking of applying to jobs. But really, for me, I think it's the fact that I do have battle wounds. The fact that I have tried and failed many times is, and the fact that I keep getting back up is why you should invest in me. And I'm the one running Fusion apps. So that's why Fusion App is going to succeed as well.
Excellent job. I didn't even set my clock. It was that good, man. That was classic. Very good. Very good. All right. So what's a day look like for you? We talked a little bit before we put this thing on record about getting up at 8:30. You live on campus?
Yeah, I'm looking at the stadium right now. So yeah, pretty much on campus.
And why did you pick ASU versus U of A?
I picked ASU because they had the program that I wanted, which was music therapy. But I didn't get into music therapy. So I
explain that a little bit more. Music therapy. What is that exactly?
It's using the psychological aspects of music to help those with mental disabilities, physical disabilities. So, I mean, music is an incredible thing more than just for listening enjoyment. If you play a chord, it strikes a nerve in the brain that makes you feel better, like the dopamine. And like, I don't know so much about it because I didn't get into the program, but I do know that like music therapy essentially is to help people with disabilities. That's essentially what it comes down to with music. And so I tried to get into the program, and I didn't. So I was kind of stressing. So I became a communications major. And I think the fact that I switched to such a useless major is the reason why I want to start this business. I think 2 years ago I was stressing about like who's going to hire a communications major, and then I kind of that thought changed, like moved and progressed into like, wait. It doesn't matter what my major is. I should work for myself. And then it progressed in the Fusion apps. So there's that. That's kind of, I feel like, where the entrepreneurial in college spirit comes from. And just like for me, I'm trying to get on a daily schedule. I mean, like a routine, like scheduling every one of my everything. Like what you did. We were talking about that when I was at SickFit. And it's hard as a student because you never know what's going to come up. I'm also many other commitments. I'm president of a club, a Hillel Jewish Center on campus. So that takes up a lot of my time. And I want to, like, in the days that I do schedule my days, it's the greatest day ever. I'm so productive. I just don't know why I don't do it more often. It's just because like being a student's a little crazy. So I every day is different. So I start to tell you like what it looks like daily in the life of Matt Sherman. Hopefully one day, hopefully soon, I will be able to schedule my days and stick to that every day, every week, every month.
What do you do in your free time? What do you like to do?
I like to read. Lately in my free time, I haven't had as much free time because when I do have free time, I just spend it on Fusion and social media for Fusion or blogging or anything. Because that's like, I don't know. I'm not your average almost 22-year-old, but I'm not your average 21-year-old. I don't really drink due to a sleep disorder that I have. I don't really party. I have friends. I don't have so many friends because I'm just so driven driven to like make this business a reality. And honestly, I wouldn't say it's the best mindset to have in college. I call it like, you're only in college for 4 years, and like you want to have as much fun as you can and also work. But like I'm all work right now, and I know I'm pretty sure I'm going to regret this in 10 years, but I won't regret what came of it. You know what I mean? Like life is forever. College is only for 4 years, but like the fact that I'm starting now, I started a year earlier than I could have, or about like a year and a half earlier than I could have, and like that could be the difference. So I'm gonna regret. I might regret like what I'm missing in college now, but I won't regret it in 5 years once I'm like killing it with Fusion. You know.
So that was your 30-second elevator speech. What you just said right there was 10 times better than what you said earlier.
Really?
When you said, "Hey, look, I don't really drink. I don't have a lot of friends. I've got enough friends to do what I do. If I have any available moment, I spend it on social media to work on what I'm trying to do, and I may regret it later, but right now I'm committed to what I'm working on, which is my business." 100%.
It's much better.
Yeah, very good, man. Very good. It's funny what the hot seat does and what a timeline does as well. You know, my wife's been a part of something called BNI, which is Business Networking International, and it's a global brand, and every day all around the world they meet for breakfast at different locations, and they talk about their business and their brand, and they have 30 seconds to give their elevator speech to the entire room, and an actual buzzard goes off. So we practice it in our company, and especially with our new recruits and some of our new coaches, is what is your story, right? Well, that's your story more than what you said earlier. Right?
Yeah, totally.
It's, parking cars and, forgetting to pick up the money, my pizza night delivery, right? Those are the stories that people remember, right? They don't remember the details of your business or even you, but they do remember the stories that you tell.
That's something that, like, I guess I thought I knew, but I haven't implemented so much. You're right. Stories that sell. I'm like, even when you're not trying to sell, stories sell anything because they're stories. They link each other. Cool. Thank you. I want to use that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
All right. For you, what is the pretty generic question, but I always like to ask people it. What was the hardest part of bringing I'll talk about from 2007 or 2008 from now. So once you've had Sick Fit, what's the hardest thing that you ever have to deal with when running Sick Fit? Or what was the hardest thing you've ever dealt with?
So because we are service industry and we're person based, we're not a website, we're not a call in, we're not a t-shirt or a bumper sticker. We have those things, but really what we do is we service people. The hardest part for me has been able to replace myself. And my wife talks about it all the time, is you can't move up in the organization until you're able to replace yourself. So I've hired really good coaches who can't do any kind of sales. And I've hired real good salesmen who can't do any kind of coaching. Right? I call it the pink unicorn. My wife and I are the pink unicorns of the business. Right? You can put us in front of a group. And like, I guess any owner or any entrepreneur, they're the purple unicorns of their business. Nobody's going to sell your business as good as you are. Nobody's going to service your business. You've heard of Delish. I think you guys have one down by ASU. Yep. Well, the owner, Chad, is a good friend of mine. He actually moved to Maui about a year and a half ago to open up one of these restaurants. And he came in the restaurant. We met last week. The Old Town location is on Scottsdale Road, and it's actually right across the street from Sick Fit Old Town. So we go in there all the time after we train down in Old Town. And, he says, every time I come home, and the Tempe location where you are is way busier than the one in Old Town. Yeah. He says, I jump behind the counter just to show not only my employees and my staff that I'm better than they are at servicing these people, is that I can still do it with a smile on my face. Right. So you take any big entrepreneur yesterday we were at Dave & Buster's, and everybody wants instant gratification. Everybody thinks, no disrespect from your age, but I graduated college. Now I get a job. Now I get a career. Now I get a business. Well, we were at Dave & Buster's in Ohio with my son and I, and right on the wall, I'm looking like, man, Dave & Buster's is one of the biggest, right? It's bigger than Chuck E. Cheese now because they made it an adult place. You can serve alcohol and food. I wonder how these guys have been doing and how they got started. There's a small brick of Dave and Buster from 1982. So you think about that. They've been doing this for 35 years to get where they are. right?
That's nuts.
It's nuts, right? But unless you hit it big with a .com or you take over a family business, you got to put in that legwork day in and day out, and consistency is key. And I think that as somebody who understands social media. This weekend, my dad was part of the Miami, Ohio baseball Hall of Fame induction, and I had a video camera and an iPhone, and I'm miking people up. And I'm doing all this stuff, and people are looking at me like, who is this guy? Did they hire him to come in and do the media? No, I'm doing it for my dad. Well, come to find out at the end of the weekend, nobody else did it. So if I hadn't documented what we saw and what we witnessed, nobody else would ever see it again. And that's why social media and being consistent day in and day out is not only consistent with your message, but consistent with the actual message each and every single day. So that's a big part for me, is just the consistency of it all. And, every day, what am I doing? And I didn't want to get into the social media side of things, right? But Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, right? Blab, like little pieces here and there and here, just to keep in touch with my customers, my clients, and my potential, members. Okay, let's go one more for you.
Okay.
So you're in my shoes. All right, let's flip shoes for a minute. And I didn't get the college experience that I think you're having. And regardless of how much of it you're going to the ASU, USC game or partying with sorority girls, and maybe you are, maybe you aren't, it's still an experience. And this weekend at Miami, Ohio University, I got to see that experience. Their stadium and school is a lot smaller. It's 15,000 students. So definitely a much smaller school. But my son turns 9 in 2 weeks. He's halfway to college. We're already discussing those things because I didn't have somebody discussing those things with me. So it's so important for someone like him, at least for me, from my eyes, to say, hey, son, you're going to get an opportunity to go to college. You keep up those straight A's, any college in the country. You continue to play baseball well, you might even get a scholarship or a full ride to one of those schools, right? And that college experience is something that I feel that I did miss. I'm getting it now in my 30s with my community and my gym and the camaraderie of spending time with these folks. But you right now, you'll look back on this 10, 20, 30 years from now, and it's still an experience. So let's switch shoes. I'm in your apartment. You're in my office. I'm you. You're me. What would you do differently? Or what would you even do that I may be doing right now to run your business at a high level and to continue to grow your brand?
That's a good question. What would I? Okay, so if I'm Luke, that's a great question. I would see. Okay, so I'm answering this not knowing what you're already doing. So you might even already.
That's okay. That's all right.
All right. So if I was Luke, I would want to turn the people who come to my gym, the people that come to my gym into raving fans, even more so than they already are, and get them to spread the word even more than they already are. I mean, I think they obviously, from what I saw when Matt came in the other day, Matt told me, like, oh wow, these people are really dedicated. So I know the people that come into the gym are really dedicated. They like what we're doing here. Now how can I turn them into, let's have them tell 3 friends, have those friends come in, have those friends tell 3 friends. So I'm a big fan of word of mouth marketing. And I think that, if I were you, I would focus. You have the base down. Now expand that base. I do realize that you only have a finite amount of space, but maybe that means you have to open another location. But if demand is high, like that's not a bad thing. So I would utilize word of mouth marketing, to the fullest, because you already have the base. You just gotta make that base your evangelists, and your raving fans. So that's what I would do. I would also, I'm a big fan. I'll stick it with there. I'm a big fan of word of mouth. That's the cheapest marketing tactic. It's actually free, unlike a lot of other marketing tactics. And I think it works. People like talking to people. People don't like talking to anything else but people. So that's why word of mouth works.
Excellent. I like it. I'm on your same page with that. All right. So I'm Matt Sherman, and this is my senior year. That nice blank space right behind your right ear, from the top of your head all the way down, I'm going to go ahead and put my brand up there. Even if it's a homemade printed sheet of paper, I'm going to start branding everything I'm doing. You can see here in my room and your room and your office, I've got the brand. I've got the brand on my shirt. I've got the brand on my bracelet. I've got it just about everywhere. You've got this beautiful blank canvas right next to you. So I'm going to start there, even if it's right there. Yeah, that's good stuff right there. Blank space. My wife comes from marketing and PR world where they run lifestyle shopping centers. So we're talking $100 million projects. Westfield Shopping Center in San Francisco, the Grove in Los Angeles, California, where they have $1 million advertising budgets. So, yesterday we flew on an airplane, and I always love to see the new branding that they do. Well, now when I flip down my TV tray on the airplane, that's completely branded. When I take my shoes off and I put my shoes in the plastic container, in the bottom of the plastic container, it's totally branded, right? So somebody jumps on right now, right? Carl just jumps on. He takes a look. He sees Matt Sherman. He may click over your icon and see who you are. But Matt, you can see exactly who I am right now. I'm Luke Kayyem from SickFit, and my brand is right there. It's synonymous with my name. So that's the only thing I would do differently. You're well ahead of the curve. I might comb my hair. Maybe. We'll see. That's a college kid right there, man. I love it. You got hair, and that's all that matters. My friends now, they are so jealous of my my hairpiece because they're all bald. Or they're going bald. So you keep that nice looking haircut right there, man. Looks good.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about growing it out. We'll see. Cool. That was a great question. I like that question. So let's can we squeeze in one more before we end? All right, cool. Got to finish on a good one. How? Give me a second. I gotta think. It has to be a good one. I had one, but like it was encapsulated by like your last question. So, how did you? Yeah, I have a good one. Why? I mean, like it's straying a little away from business and more. I feel like into your passion. In addition to business, but how'd you get into fitness? Like, why fitness? Like, yeah, why fitness?
So, It probably goes back to my childhood and being an only child, finding ways to entertain yourself. It really came from playing, whether it was swimming in Hawaii. I grew up between Hawaii and Palm Springs, so both pretty beautiful outdoor adventurous nature cities and states with California and Hawaii. And I always loved to swim and play sports. And my mom got me into tennis at a very young age, and I would hit a tennis ball up against the garage door each and every day when I had free time, and I would play baseball, and I'd play all these sports. Well, once I decided I didn't want to go to school and spend the next 4 years, learning somebody else's message, I took a look at what I was currently doing. And what I was doing was I was still playing some, baseball and football recreational, and I was headed to the weight room a couple times a week to exercise and train. And for me, I love to hike. I love to climb. I love to dive. I was a certified scuba diver when I was 16 years old. So I just wanted to do outdoor adventure stuff. And while I'm parking cars for a living, doing valet parking in Indian Wells, one of my buddies says, "Hey, dude, you ever thought about doing personal training?" Almost like the next stepping stone to us guys who weren't going to school and didn't want to continue parking cars for a living. So he got me into it, and within 6 months, I was working at the local gym. Didn't realize that all the things that I was learning through time and space would actually become entrepreneurial. Like I said earlier on my Instagram page, it says writer, director, producer. All the videos that we shoot for SickFit are all from me. Most of the actual video shooting is from me. The relationships and the people that I know around the world are from me. And I just take a couple of people here and there to stitch it all together. So I'll find a videographer that can cut and splice the video for me and add the audio. I'll find somebody who may be really good at a particular area of expertise that I'm not at. So I'm hiring guys all around me that are much better at doing things. Like follow-up is not my thing. You talked about organization on a daily basis and scheduling your calendar. Well, for me, follow-up is not my thing. You and I connected directly via text, and that's pretty much a straight shot. But once I start getting into emails and follow-up and did you do this and did you do that, I'm better off delegating that out to somebody else. So I love fitness. It's something I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Even if I get a deal to produce my own show or write my own books, I'm still going to be in fitness. It will still be a hobby for me and something that I truly enjoy. Right now, it just happens to be what's paying the bills.
Awesome. Cool.
All right. So this is, I guess, week one. We'll see how this thing progresses. I'll put this thing up on YouTube at the end of the day. And you and I will definitely connect a little bit later. I got a show at noon today called The Whole Life Challenge, which is about our fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle. So I hope to see you there with at least a handwritten message on the side of your wall right there with your brand, at least in colored Sharpie, or get one of the girls in your hallway to come over and draw a pretty picture of your company. Thanks for coming on, Matt. I look forward to talking to you soon. This was One Question, Two Entrepreneurs, and Three Opinions with Luke Kayyem and Matt Sherman.